It's not a mistake, brothers and sisters, that they have opened wide the borders and deliberately flooded the Western countries. It's not that the West is flooding the Middle East, it's that it's the other way around. They're flooding these Western countries. And what is the fruit of this? We're seeing the fruit of it is you can't speak out now against these minorities, even if they're raping and killing your children. You can't speak out against them if they're now blocking you from your neighborhoods and they're bowing in your streets. And taking away your rights. You can't say anything. And so you got to ask, why are the Western leaders doing this? And the answer is that they've told us they want this great reset. That's what they're calling it. We're going to build back better. These are the lingo that they're using straight out of the mouth of the father of lies, because Satan always has false and empty promises. And they're ultimately, what they're doing is taking down the West. Why the West? Because Western civilization as we know it is really the birth of it came from Christendom, which was the blend of Christianity and the political system, and together with one kind of unified heart, they formed the democracy that we know, the principles of democracy, the law systems that we have now where we don't cut off your right hand if you steal. Those are more barbaric practices from other countries that don't practice Christianity. And these systems of law, schools, hospitals, all of this was brought into the West by Christendom, by Christianity. And eventually, there were problems with Christianity being blended in politics. And I think that was part of the revolt of Martin Luther, part of the revolt of the French Revolution and so on. But they'd gone, of course, too far. But this is where we are now. This is where we're at now, where these Western leaders want to destroy Christianity. They don't see Christianity as having a place for a voice in the public square. And so you see Bill C-9 in Canada, which wants to have hate speech. You can't have hate speech, which offends anybody. This is what they're saying in the bill. Anyone who's offended by your speech. Well, if I say that sex before marriage is not in God's plan, or that gender ideology is contrary to the natural law, this is deemed hate speech. So we are so rapidly descending toward this that we're going to see persecution break out in Canada and in the West very soon. We've already seen it's little bits of it, especially in the free markets, where we've seen businesses fire somebody because they had an opinion about traditional marriage. But we're going to see a formalized persecution of Christianity very soon. And I'll end on this saying, if we think we're suffering here in Canada or in the United States, we're suffering persecution, it's nothing compared to what's happening right now in Nigeria and in the Sudan, where there's a wholesale cleansing of Christians, basically a genocide in those countries against Christianity. They are the martyrs, I think, of Revelation chapter 6, who are crying out, "How much longer, Lord?" And the Lord responds, "A little bit longer, until the full number of the martyrs is filled." And I just really think we're living those times right now. So that's my preamble. But here in the West, we're on the verge of seeing a tremendous persecution. It will begin with imprisonment, with losing charitable status, all this stuff. But ultimately, these things ultimately break out into a much more severe persecution. Islam, in its practice, does not have tolerance for Christianity, and that's why you're seeing what you're seeing in the Middle East and Africa and so on. If you look at the practice of Islam in other countries, they'll throw homosexuals from rooftops in Islam. So there's no tolerance for it. So why then are we welcoming into our Western society by the millions people from Islamic countries? And the reason goes back to exactly what I said before, which is that it serves the purpose of the Masonic sects, which is to completely overthrow the Catholic Church. This is interesting. Evangelical Christians, whom I love them for their faith and their biblical, their love of the Bible, their love of Jesus, of His name. There's a beautiful simplicity there in the faith. But they need to look at the enemy who the real enemy is considered by these secret societies. They don't say Martin Luther, they don't say the Anglicans. It's Roman Catholicism. Why? Because that's the church that Jesus established. That's the church that Christ gave ultimately his authority to. And they recognize this. Satanists don't go to evangelical churches to take their wafers and grape juice. They come to Catholic churches to steal the host, because Satanists know that Jesus Christ is he's in that host. He is present, physically present in that host. He's there. And so they take him so that they can then go and desecrate Jesus. So even the Satanists have a rudimentary understanding of what their enemy they're dealing with. And so this is why they're flooding the borders with Islam, and why they're starting to pass laws now that you can't criticize. You can't say anything negative about Islam, about its violation of human rights, of women's rights, and so on. This is called, they say, Islamophobia. Well, this is, of course, we all know this is a violation of reason. It's reasonable to have these discussions. It's reasonable and right, and we're not allowed to have them. Why? Because Islam serves the purpose of the Great Reset, which is to crush Christianity.
Hello, dear brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for joining Mother and Refuge of the End Times. We have a very special announcement. Mother and Refuge of the End Times is going to release our first book, and it will be available both in paperback and ebook on Amazon. This book is a compilation of all the End Times devotions and their promises. These prayers have been given by heaven to contemporary Catholic mystics. Also, these prayers have been endowed with many promises of supernatural blessings for those that pray them. These prayers were given to mankind to assist with these times of chastisement and are essential armor in our spiritual battles. Some of the mystics and devotions included in this book are Saint Faustina in the Divine Mercy, Elizabeth Kindleman in the Flame of Love, Luisa Picaretta in the Divine Will, Deliverance Prayers, Devotions to the Precious Blood, and others. This book also includes the chaplet of provision given to us by our Lord for times of scarcity. The beauty of this book is all these devotions mentioned are compiled into one volume for you, the reader, to enjoy, pray, and apply to your daily life. Please find the link to the paperback and ebook in the descriptions below. And as always, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and thank you for your support.